Okay, we are going to be taking a look at the second problem in chapter number 5, and that problem deals with calculations. It's the Barclay Company, and I've given you the adjusted trial balance at December 31st, 2008. And I've given you a variety of accounts and their corresponding balances. Also, about mid part of the page, I have provided to you some additional information. And at the bottom, I've asked you to calculate out a variety of things. Now, on the board behind me here, I have some formulas. In this chapter, you are responsible for knowing these formulas. The first formula that you must know is net sales. We take the gross sales less the sales returns and allowances less an account called sales discounts. These sales accounts, sales returns, allowances, and sales discounts are contra sales accounts, opposite the normal balance. Therefore, they're reductions to give us the net sales. Just over here to my right is the calculation of cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold, you need to memorize, starts with beginning inventory, what we have for the beginning of the period, plus the net purchases. And you'll notice here at the bottom of this, all the way down here, I have a calculation for net purchases. Net purchases are the total purchases plus the transportation in. This is where we buy goods and it's FOB shipment point, and we, the buyer, must pay for the freight. That adds to the cost of those goods. So we add transportation in, or freight in sometimes called, less any purchase returns allowances. If we've returned any goods, we deduct them off of the purchases. That gives us the net purchases. So you need to know what net purchases are, and you need to know that that goes into the calculation of cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold is beginning inventory plus net purchases. That gives you what you could sell, the total amount of goods you have available. This is what you end with. This then gives you the cost of goods sold. Now, we've got another calculation right here. You need to know that you will take the net sales that you just calculated up above. You will take the cost of goods sold that we've just calculated there. So net sales less cost of goods sold equals gross profit. Now, that's not net profit, that's gross profit. From net profit, and I'm going to put on the board right here, you're going to deduct your operating expenses. And when you deduct operating expenses from gross profit, you will get your net income. Now, there are two types of operating expenses. There are selling expenses and general and administrative expenses. Selling expenses, well, if you just look at the category selling, it's any cost that you've incurred to sell the product. This would be salesman's commissions, salesman's salaries, it would be delivery expenses, it would be advertising, it would be rent on the sales space. Those are all selling expenses. For cost control purposes, we like to separate those out from general administrative expenses. What's a G&A expense? General administrative? That would be the executive salaries. That would be the accountant's salaries. Those are all the other expenses that are other than selling cost. But please remember, selling and general administrative make up the total of the operating expenses. That you deduct from gross profit to get your net profit. This problem that you have been given asks you to calculate out A, net sales. You use this formula. B, the cost of the net cost of purchases. You use this formula. C, the cost of goods available for sale. I'm asking you to calculate right to there cost of goods available for sale. In D, the cost of goods sold. I'm asking you to calculate cost of goods sold. In E, the gross profit, right there. In F, I'm asking you to calculate the selling expenses. So look at all that information up above, figure out what the selling expenses happen to be. And then the last in G, I've asked you to calculate out the net income. Well, to figure out net income, you need to figure out all of your operating expenses. So it would be best for you to separate out your expenses from selling expenses and general administrative. Once you know what each of those are, add them together, get your total operating expense, and deduct it from your gross profit, which then will give you your net income. Now, I'm going to erase this board, and then I'm going to put up here the answers to those. And we will come right back, and I'll show you the answers to those. Okay, we are back. I have written the answers on the board here. You will see that in A, which is the net sales, that comes out to the $306,775. In B, I've asked you to calculate out the net cost of purchases, $134,600. In C, the cost of the goods available for sale. This is the total cost of the items we could sell. We didn't sell them, but this is what the total cost that we could. $172,100. In D, what's the cost of the goods that are sold? $116,100. Now, I do want you to note in the material, you need to decipher what is the beginning inventory and what is the ending inventory. Our date of the information we're looking at is December 31st of 2008. So when I see inventory at the top of that list, $56,000, that is the ending inventory. In the additional information, I see it says on December 31st of 2007, inventory was $37,500. That's the beginning inventory. On exams, on quizzes, I will give you information like that, and you need to be able to dig in, look at the dates, and figure out what's the beginning and what's the ending inventory. Moving on here, in taking a look at the gross profit, the gross profit, $190,675. The selling expenses were $90,350. Although not asked, the administrative, the general administrative cost were $45,650. So if you took the selling expense plus the G&A expense, you would have total operating expenses of $136,000. That wasn't asked for either, but you would need that to figure out the net income, because you will take the gross profit less the $136,000 in operating expenses to get your net income of $54,675. So that's chapter number 5. What are the two main areas that you need to know? You need to know the journal entries, and you need to know how to calculate all these items right here. We're going to go on, and I'll see you in chapter 6.